This video is brought to you by Matrix Keyboards. Stay tuned until after the video to learn how you can save 10% off of your order. Hey, what's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to this edition of Burnt Rubber. New overlay, as you can see. And of course, I got my number, a stock car, and some, well, burning rubber underneath. So there you go. But lots of content coming this week. Of course, I'm recording this on the 5th. But this is being released on a Monday, and there's a shit ton of content that's going to be released on the channel this week, so prepare yourselves for that. Of course, later on today, after this video goes live, I'll do the IMSA review from Detroit, and then tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, will be the IndyCar review. I decided to postpone them a little bit because, well, nobody watches them anyway, and there's no racing this week, or there wasn't any racing this past weekend, so there's that. But lots of content coming this week. But yeah, I was at work today, and I was just browsing around on social media, and then it came across the airwaves on X, and it was some pretty troubling news, to say the least. Because, I mean, you know, I'm just completely flummoxed. You know, I just don't know about motorsports anymore, people. I just don't know about it anymore. You know. And there are times when I just look at shit and I wonder why I associate myself with this shit to begin with. So, there's a lot to talk about. This is going to be a long ass episode, I would say, because I have a lot to get off my chest. There's actually some things that I'm going to be talking about in this episode that I was going to say for a different episode, but you know what? Fuck it. Let's just compile it all into one episode, because I have a lot of grievances that I want to get off my chest, because the shit that I have been seeing as of late in American motorsports makes me want to fucking vomit, if you want the truth. But basically, the news that I read today, and you know, all the pundits that are worth their weight, we're talking about it. Jeff Gluck, Bob Pockris, you name it. And it basically all says the same thing. Major NASCAR lawsuit news. The preliminary injunction that allowed 2311 and FRM to race as charter teams has been overturned by a federal appeals court. The teams could now lose their charters, both existing and the ones they got from SHR, and race as open teams. So the teams said they needed the injunction because the charter agreement says they can't sue NASCAR. The original judge's decision ruled that release of claims likely violated antitrust law, but the appeals court said that theory of antitrust law is not supported by any case it knows, so it vacated the injunction. And here was the excerpt that kind of caused all this. In short, because we have found no support for the proposition that a business entity or person violates the antitrust laws by requiring a prospective participant to give a release for past conduct as a condition for doing business, we cannot conclude that the plaintiffs made a clear showing that they were likely to succeed on the merits of that theory. And without satisfaction of the likelihood of success element, the plaintiffs were not entitled to a preliminary injunction. And then Jeffrey Kessler, who's the lawyer for 2311 FRM, he posted this. We are disappointed by today's ruling by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals and are reviewing the decision to determine our next steps. This ruling is based on a very narrow consideration of whether a release of claims in the charter agreements is anti-competitive and does not impact our chances of winning at trial scheduled for December 1st. We remain confident in our case and committed to racing for the entirety of the season as we continue our fight to create a fair and just economic system for stock car racing that is free of anti-competitive, monopolistic conduct. I have to wonder if the U.S. Court of Appeals is run by absolute fucking morons. Because it's obvious to anyone with half a fucking brain that NASCAR is a monopoly. Because all the parts that the teams have to buy go through NASCAR. They have to sign away their IPs, so that way they can't really make any money on merch. This car can't be used in any other competition. NASCAR owns pretty much every track in the fucking sport, save for a couple. You know, it's just... So, this is a quote-unquote big win for NASCAR. I guarantee you, the higher-ups in NASCAR and Jim France, they were probably jizzing all over themselves when this ruling came down. Well, honestly, I hope they jizz in their fucking eyes and blind themselves permanently. And what also brings my piss to a boil is there are a lot of dumb motherfuckers on social media, in particular X, that are actually happy with this decision, saying, yeah, that's a win for business and a win for NASCAR. And I'm just sitting here looking at all this shit and I'm wondering, you must be the biggest collection of fucking retards on the face of this planet. And I was going off on some people because some of these people are absolutely fucking brain dead. I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest here, and I really don't care who I piss off, but if you're one of these people that defend NASCAR over this shit and are actually happy that the Court of Appeals overturned their injunction, you are quite frankly part of the fucking problem. And you need to fuck yourself right off a cliff. Because you are about the most worthless fucking person on the face of the planet. A waste of space. Because, I mean, NASCAR is irredeemable right now. I mean, I'm considering going back to doing race reviews of NASCAR next year, but with a caveat. I'm not even going to acknowledge the playoffs. You know, I've got my own point system that I'm coming up with, and I'm going to basically treat it as if it were a full points format again. And I'm just going to say fuck the playoffs and not even acknowledge them. That's probably going to piss some people off, and you know what? Good. Because I don't give a fuck at this point. So, yeah. 2311 and FRM are probably going to lose their charters now, including the one that they got from SHR. So, I mean, here's the thing, though. NASCAR, they are so... their egos are just so goddamn big. And after this ruling came out, I would imagine their egos have been inflated to the point where it'll have its own fucking gravitational pull. And they are just so fucking retarded that they can't see the absolute fucking quagmire that they're putting themselves in. And here's the thing. Regardless of if they win or not, they're not going to come out of this looking good at all. You know, and they seem hell-bent on getting to this trial on December 1st. And, you know, Discovery is a part of that, and the books are going to be opened. And the entire business is going to be exposed. Apparently, they're not too worried about that, even though they should be, because they'll show how fucking greedy that these bastards are and expose them for who they truly are. And if that wasn't enough, there was a report that came out that said that Jim France was actually considering, and I shit you not, was actually considering funding a race car, starting a team for Sonoma. So Jeff Gluck reported this on May the 29th. Jim France was down the road with plans to fund a Cup Series car at Sonoma, which would have seen the NASCAR CEO partner with Spire, Hendrick, and Chevy. The deal fell apart shortly after The Athletic began working on a story about it. From our story, whatever France's intentions, the move would have sparked questions from an already skeptical fan base that scrutinizes every NASCAR decision and in-race call to detect perceived favoritism. Well, of course it fell apart. Because we literally just got done with attenuator gate from IndyCar this year for the fucking Indianapolis 500. And now all of a sudden this has come out about Jim France wanting to fund a Cup car for Sonoma. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, that's not a conflict of interest? I mean, I'm honestly surprised that IndyCar and Roger Penske hasn't been investigated for a conflict of interest. I mean, look at all the bullshit that's been going down in IndyCar since they started cracking down in the fucking... what the fuck do you call it? The inspection line. Because it seems like ever since Team Penske got bopped for those attenuator failures for the Indianapolis 500, I believe there has been 4 penalties that have been handed down since then. There were 3 from the Indianapolis 500. It was Marcus Ericsson, Kyle Kirkwood, and Callum Ilott. Their cars failed post-race tech inspection for the Indianapolis 500, so they basically all got moved to the back of the line and were disqualified, which sucks if you're Marcus Ericsson because he finished second, and that pretty much cost him a shit ton of money, because even though he finished second, I'm pretty sure that the payout was pretty damn big. So to lose the runner-up spot in that case was just real. I mean, that would suck big time. Losing the race sucks, but having that happen sucks even more, because it's like all that work was for naught. So that's pretty frustrating. I'm pretty sure that would be pretty frustrating from his vantage point. And then I'm going to talk about this in the IndyCar review. Santino Ferrucci got a runner, his first career podium in IndyCar at Detroit. But there was a penalty that he got where the car wasn't underweight, but he was. I guess there's a driver-to-car weight balance that you have to keep. So, Cat, would you please quit? I don't need you hitting the space bar and stopping the recording, because I'm not doing this all over again. Freaking Cat. But apparently he didn't meet the requirement for the weight, so he was docked 25 points. They lost all their prize money, which I think is pretty fucking stupid, and were fined $25,000. And I think his team manager was suspended for like a month or something like that. It was something like that. But I'll get more into that for the IndyCar review tomorrow. But yeah, that just goes to show you just how fucked up American Motorsports is right now. And it's so goddamn frustrating because I've been a long-time supporter of both IndyCar and NASCAR. I mean, there was a time not too long ago that I considered IndyCar the best racing in the world. But ever since they put that fucking hybrid, try to basically shoehorn this hybrid into a 12-year-old chassis, it has done nothing but kill the on-track product. I don't think much of the new Detroit Street Course. I think it's pretty fucking boring, to say the least, but it's pretty bad when the Detroit race was probably one of the best races all year. What does that tell you? And IndyCar says that they're going to bring in an independent sanctioning or independent governing body, so that way, you know, there won't be any more, you know, shit where they have to make decisions for Team Penske, because, you know, Roger Penske owns the series and Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and he also owns a race team, 3 cars that races in said series. So they say they're going to bring in an independent governing body separate from Penske, but the problem is the damage has already been done. Like, you are about 6 years too late to that party. Because I think Penske acquired IndyCar and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 2019, 2020. Why didn't you have an independent governing body come in at that time? Why wait all this time? So, IndyCar is a fucking mess. NASCAR is a fucking mess, you know, because you got, you know, this lawsuit going on. That's not the only lawsuit that's been going on in NASCAR. There are 3 separate fucking lawsuits that are going on in NASCAR right now. Because in addition to the 2311 FRM lawsuit, there's also the lawsuit going on between Rick Ware Racing and Legacy Motor Club. And apparently there's a third lawsuit between a cryptocurrency and NASCAR that apparently was allowed to go forward. I mean, what in the holy hell is going on with American Motorsports right now? I mean, which is why the name of this episode is what it is. American Motorsports is in a state of flux. And it's honestly more than that. American Motorsports is nothing but a fucking dumpster fire right now. Because it just seems like there is controversy after controversy after controversy after controversy after controversy. And if that wasn't enough, the month before the All-Star race, because I'll be the first to admit, the All-Star race, the Coca-Cola 600, I didn't watch Nashville because it came on at 7 p.m. on a Sunday and I had to get up for work early, and I wasn't incentivized to watch it anyway because I'm not doing race reviews of them this year. But all 3 of those races, I can say, were alright. They weren't that bad. Which is great because in North Wilkesboro, you know, we want that track to get a points date at some point. You know, at least one of its points dates back. That would be something. The Coca-Cola 600, you know, had a great finish. Ross Chastain gets his first crown jewel victory, and he was the first driver since the 70s to actually have an official starting spot of dead last that wasn't due to a penalty or anything, and won the race. It's the first time that's happened since the 70s. Wrap your head around that shit. And then I guess Nashville was also pretty good. I didn't watch it, so I can't, I can't give my verdict one way or the other. But apparently it was pretty good. So I will say the last 3 races, you could say, yeah, the on-track product has been solid. But the entire month before that was fucking garbage. Talladega in particular has fallen into this deal where it's nothing but fuel mileage saving. And I honestly regret, looking back on it now, I honestly regret giving that one race as high a score as I did. Because there was somebody that told me, well, they were just fuel saving during that entire time. And I actually went back and watched it, and I'm like, oh my god, it really was just fuel saving. And when you look at the last 3 Talladega races, it's been the same fucking thing. And the problem is, it passes the eye test because they're going 4 wide. There's all these different lead changes and all this other shit. The problem is, we're not seeing the crazy ass moves that we used to see back in the day, in the early 2000s from these races. I mean, why do you think Dale Earnhardt's 18th to 1st run is still so revered? What do you think Dale Jr.'s runs, in 2001, late in the race, coming from behind? His 11th to 1st run in 2004, that's still talked about. We don't really see that shit with Talladega anymore. And it sucks because Talladega used to be one of the most anticipated races on the calendar for me. For me and my stepfather. We always loved watching Talladega. But, I mean, and we actually went to his cousin's house to watch it because he's also, a race fan. But almost that entire time I was scrolling on my phone because literally nothing was fucking happening. Even though they were 4 wide, they were just fuel saving. There wasn't any crazy moves going on. There wasn't any of that stuff. It was just fuel saving. And then at the very end, it was just 2 wide gridlock. And the guy who got off pit road first, Austin Cindric, ended up winning the race. Now, I realize that's going to happen every now and then, but let's be realistic here. Talladega should be the last fucking track where the guy who gets off pit road first ends up winning the race. Actually stays up front and wins the race. Talladega is the last track that should happen at. And yet it happened. And then you had all these fucking dick suckers coming out of the woodwork when the precious Talladega race was being fucking ostracized and ridiculed as it should have been. You had all these motherfuckers from that fucking Jamoke, Elton Sawyer, to Jeff Burton, to Kenny Wallace. Oh my god, Kenny Wallace is just a fucking dolt. But yeah, Elton Sawyer on Sirius XM was like, you have 67 lead changes among 23 different drivers. So when we look at all that, what are we trying to fix? People are absolutely fucking brain dead. It's Jeff Burton. I don't understand who has a problem with this racing. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. And then Kenny Wallace. I mean, you want to talk about the ultimate fucking NASCAR dick sucker. He was like, on one of his tweets, 4 million people watched a race that supposedly wasn't good. Ha ha ha. Which is such a fucking disingenuous statement to make, because here's a newsflash, Kenny. Yes, there were 4 million people that watched that race, but it was 6% fewer than the previous year. So if the race was so good, why are fewer people watching it year over year over year? I'll tell you why. Because people are catching on to the fucking facade that it is. The Gen 7 car is a fucking joke. And evidently he doesn't like it when people rightly criticize the NASCAR product because, he said in another post later on, he said, get a fucking life. And I basically replied to him, said, how about you get fucked with a pipe covered in glass? Kenny Wallace can quite frankly go fuck himself. I mean, it's the dude's a fucking idiot. He really is. I'm honestly glad he never won a race, because he quite frankly never had the fucking talent that his brother Rusty did. I mean, he couldn't, I mean, let's be honest here. He couldn't tie Rusty Wallace, he couldn't even sniff Rusty Wallace's jockstrap. But this is the type of fucking bullshit that I've been talking about for years with this company. And evidently they got so many, fucking bootlickers and dick suckers that, I mean, we could say it until we're blue in the face, but they're not going to change a damn thing. And at that point, it's like, well, you know what? Maybe it'd be for the best that this company burns to the fucking ground. And honestly, if I was Michael Jordan at this point and all this shit was going on, I'd be like, you know what? Fine, fuck y'all. I'll start my own stock car national racing series, and we'll see how you fucking like that. Because the France family wants to be a bunch of petty fucking asshole douchebags. Fine. Michael Jordan can certainly play that game, because he's worth $3.5 billion by himself. He's got fuck you money. So NASCAR, they're fucking playing with fire with Michael Jordan. Because when push comes to shove, he's not exactly the type of guy you want to fuck with. Because you push him out of NASCAR, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he started his own stock car racing series, and we actually had two competing stock car racing series in the United States. That would really burn NASCAR's ass. And here's the thing. I don't know if I want to see American stock car racing get split, because we saw how that worked for IndyCar when they split apart into IndyCar and Champ Car. They eventually merged back together, but IndyCar is still trying to recover from that after all these years. They reunited in 2008. It's 2025, and they are still trying to recover from the fallout of that. So I don't know if forming a rival stock car series to NASCAR is the way to go, but let's be completely honest here. With how absolutely fucking abhorrent NASCAR leadership is, and how they just want to control every single fucking aspect of the sport, I mean, I honestly wouldn't be the least bit surprised if it happens. And maybe it would be for the best, because, I mean, it's getting to the point where a lot of people are going to get sick of NASCAR's bullshit. And like I said, regardless of if they win this lawsuit or not, they're not going to come out of it looking good at all. Especially when those financials are released. And you know they're going to be, as part of the discovery process. So NASCAR is playing with fire. So, I mean, they might think that them, getting this injunction overturned is going to stop 2311 and FRM from continuing this lawsuit. Get real. Because Michael Jordan by himself is worth $3.5 billion. You don't think you don't think he isn't willing to put some money into this? The France family can get fucked, as far as I'm concerned. Because honestly, they have done nothing but ruin the integrity of this sport. I mean, a lot of people blame Brian France for some of the shit that's happened over the last decade or so. I'm going to be completely honest here. I don't think he was ever in charge, really. He might have been CEO by name, but I mean, I find it kind of strange that he basically got kicked to the curb after his DUI. Jim France took over, and yet the ship didn't deviate from its course at all. It kept all the same bad policies that were in place when Brian was in charge, supposedly. I'm honestly convinced that Jim has been in charge all this time. He just had a fall guy in Brian just in case he fucked up. Which also shows you how fucking skeevy Jim France is. But this is the state of American motorsports right now, people. And it's just getting worse and worse. You know, I don't know what else to say. But shit needs to change, or we may wake up one day and there won't be an IndyCar and there won't be a NASCAR. Then what the fuck are y'all gonna do? Anyway, that's gonna do it for this edition of Burnt Rubber. Major format change. Basically combining motorsport lore with this. Have modern news stories and have history story time, basically. For motorsports events from the past, kind of combine it all together into one, because I mean, honestly, having motorsport lore is kind of redundant. So yeah, motorsport lore is done. Just gonna fold it into Burnt Rubber, and that way it'll be all more condensed and there'll be more content from Burnt Rubber, because this is only the 22nd episode and this show started in October. But it was mainly just for news shit, so. But I want to change that. As we're now into June of this year, I want to kind of change things up a little bit. So, yeah. Shit needs to change, man. Because American motorsports is not looking good right now. I'll tell you that much. But anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of Burnt Rubber. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, this is the PackerMan signing out. And yes, I'm back on my webcam. At long last. See you later. And of course, let's try this again. Bye! Hey, what's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan. Let you know that tonight's video was sponsored by Matrix Keyboards. Matrix Keyboards was formed in 2018 due to the rising evolution of high-quality esports products. By clicking on the affiliate link down below in the description box, you'll be able to get great deals on high-quality keyboards such as Cotton Candy, Landmark, and Elite Series. It also has other cool items like mouse pads and mice as well. And when you go to checkout, be sure to type in the code PackerMan and you'll be able to save 10% off of your order. Matrix Keyboards, game and style. Hey ladies and germs, just want to say thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and also check out my other channels, Isaac the Survivalist and Our Honor Defend Archives, if you're a Buckeye fan. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.